Here we are again, a deadly discussion, a deadly spoiler, a deadly video. I'm skipping straight to V3 for now, but I may return to Danganronpa 2 afterwards. Spoilers for the whole franchise, of course, as this is the final installment if we ignore Danganronpa S. Anywho, I'm covering the distinct nature of V3, which is a little similar to my last video. But it isn't darker or anything like that, it's unique. Though hard to touch on what way. I'll get into how it delivers this feeling, but I'll be discovering as well through what exactly it makes the player feel. Is it the protagonist situation, the user interface, length, story, art style, or soundtrack? Because, to begin, I'm covering the soundtrack. This might be a little bizarre, but hear me out. Out of the most obvious differences in the game that aren't in the others, I believe the fact this game has the most tracks not used in other installments, once again ignoring Danganronpa S, says something. The game is a reboot alongside its music. Let's dive into this right away. No Chapter 2 intro BS. This soundtrack is filled with bangers. Danganronpa 1, 2, and another episode also have bangers, like the unique, beautiful, and investigation themes, but even the sad music in this installment slaps. You ever heard Living in a Lazy Parallel World? Pretty good for a distrust replacement, and foreshadows the ending. A lot of the music in this game does, to be honest, and I feel as if this game's soundtrack is as wrapped up and intricately constructed as Trigger Happy Havoc's storyline. How exactly? Let me explain. First up is V3's investigation theme, Despair Searching. Besides the cool fact this is literally searching for a murder of despair, yet chapters 5 and 6 use hope searching because they're all afflicted with despair and are looking for the light at the end of the tunnel, this theme bangs, and foreshadows the ending very well. Keep in mind that this is the 53rd killing game. Now call back to these two investigation themes as introductions. Do you see how there are no drums for a section of these? They're purely non-percussion, yet Despair Searching does the opposite, playing with percussion to begin and then adding the rest. So, this song also utilises clapping, a more modern instrumentation, in my opinion, that is far more heterophonic, which by the way means all the layering and texture of the song uniting into one main melody, and still utilises the typical jazzy feel. It is also far slower, which I found interesting. I believe the clapping could represent the audience, skipped over intro symbolising how it's the 53rd killing game, therefore they want to get straight to the good stuff, and finally, the slower beat gives a finale-esque feeling to the game. It feels a lot more climactic than the other, detective-like, fast-paced investigations. This could be because they're tracking down the murderer, or because it's the last game, and Shuichi ends Danganronpa. Or it's just something new. I believe the climactic theory as this song builds up a lot more than the others. While with the others they swap between different sections a lot, and so does this one. It has a very pure sense of progression. Also, the soundtrack must be unique, as it's the only one that have 2 full albums. Not discs, albums. The use of very few older tracks and many uniquely tailored ones shows. The main Danganronpa theme for this game's opening is very unique as well, as it's very jazzy. The other two are all guitar and rock sort of songs, you know what I mean? Could this have to do with the truth and lies, as well as Shuichi being a detective? Most likely. Perhaps despair searching is slow to represent Shuichi's deep analysis of everything, keeping a calm and composed attitude to pick up on small things. This game also begins to utilize a lot more piano outside of the beautiful themes and things like the class trials with the new Resurrection and Space additions to the class trial tracks. Resurrection replaces Chaos, or Turbulent, and Space replaces Variant, or Odd. You can tell because of Resurrection's familiar tempo. And Space's familiar use of certain sounds from Variant. However, both these new tracks use piano quite frequently, which I feel like represents the fact Shuichi has Kaede's influence post-Chapter 1. The piano comes in when the song calms down, like it's a moment of thought and resurrection, while it builds up in space with repetition. Kaede both influences his confidence and thought process, as she will stay with him forever. This also adds a layer of elegance to the game, which I enjoy as it fits the chapel-like class trial rooms alongside the clean visuals. The Sun and Dawn editions remain, with some added ambience to Dawn and a little remixing the sun. For the first time, they replaced Beautiful Morning with Cool Morning instead. This utilises a lot more elegant piano, same with Beautiful Lie, and shares a common melody with, once again, Beautiful Lie. I believe this game feels fresh once again because it also draws parallels with Trigger Happy Havoc, such as Beautiful Morning and Beautiful Death sharing some common traits, like the melody. It helps everything feel both more contained within itself and connected. Danganronpa 2 used Beautiful Morning and Beautiful Ruin, which created a slight disconnect, as well as giving a sense of nostalgia, which was more extreme than Danganronpa V3. Beautiful Lie has an intro like the other two main Beautiful themes, and it feels amazing to hear. The piano feels more focused on in this one, which makes sense when considering Kaede as the quote-unquote protagonist. Finally, to conclude this chapter, let's talk about Hope Searching, the game's banging remix of the investigation theme. It doesn't hit as hard as Kill Command in my opinion, but it does a good job. As villainous as the Danganronpa 2 equivalent, it utilises that previously mentioned slower beat to really hit that spot of confrontation and intimidation. Worried for Kato out of care, yet worried for Kokichi out of worry. Truth and lies, baby. With that, the guitar goes off on its own for a little bit, but begins to build with the beat, slowing down for a moment then hitting a new, more layered section. It's a good song and the longest of the endgame investigation remixes. It builds up with a more classic jazzy layering, and then it starts to really slap. Okay, let's go off this song now. As I said once, this is both the longest and most unique soundtrack. It has plenty of special songs, and also has the most. Everything is connected, and I will continue to love it till this day. Also, the body discovery tracks are cool. Almost as cool as Cool Morning. Time to discuss the atmosphere of this game, and whether or not it's good for its unique approach, because this game is a pattern of trying to replicate the best parts of both games because of its attempt at rebooting the franchise rather than a single game. This has outer sections of the map for the sake of Danganronpa 2 familiarity, and an in-school section for Danganronpa 1 fans. While this takes away from both, I kind of like it when you consider the other themes in the game. I've touched on this in another video, but Danganronpa 1 is the most twisted, Danganronpa 2 is the most memorable, and Danganronpa V3, in my opinion, is the most tragic. The characters are crushed in Chapter 5, and everyone is so split up, much like Danganronpa 1. Kaede and Kirumi's deaths are really screwed up, and to me are tragic, in a different way to Danganronpa 1, as these ones are less realistic. It makes sense when Shuichi's main argument in Case 6 is that his emotions are real, regardless of whether or not he is. Emotions are the focus, not mental, but emotion. And that's the difference between Danganronpa 1 and V3. Shuichi's more emotional, and Kyoko's more logical. Now that we have that out of the way, let me continue on my environment rant. The inside sections of the map are elegant yet suffocating. You're given ultimate talent labs, which aren't enough to give you happiness. It's the same strategy with Danganronpa 2, where they give you so much space to move around, yet it helps you realise how little it matters when faced with such tragedy. However, at night time, when exercising with Kaito or just aimlessly wandering around, it feels so peaceful yet scary. You feel relaxed by the soothing night sky, yet the threat of a murderer only grows more severe at night. If a murder isn't happening at the moment in this game, it always happens at night time. That freedom you're given as a group causes more murders, honestly, and that responsibility being put on the students makes it more tragic, especially when none of them mattered. Killing to leave is really shown the same amount as the first game and second game here, but it's interesting. Kurumi did it because she's pretty much president, Miyu was going to do it because of her ego, and that's it really. Kaede could have left and honestly should have. Find it hard to believe she'd stay for the reasons she did, but it adds to the tragedy, I guess. Anyway, the overgrown interior of the school is somewhat calming, but that goes away the further you go into the school, which makes the game feel more intense over time, assisting in the long run. Other things help this, such as Kokichi's growing antagonistic influence, Kaito's illness, and the bonds formed between the students. This is another parallel with the first game, but it's perfectly unique. Each floor feels like a different world, in my opinion. Especially the third floor. It is as eerie as any Chapter 3 environment should be, but in a unique way. Alright, I'm losing focus with this topic, let's now move on. Let's discuss V3's main little quirk. Its attempt at incorporating truth and lies. This really helps bring the game together, and it makes it feel like V3 when the other games are focused on hope and despair. This feels like a fresh and new class, finding the concepts from the other games completely foreign, being more focused on, as I've said, truth and lies. Kokichi and Kaito both of course share this, and it's so obvious to the point I won't dig too deep. Kokichi lies a lot, catches you on your lies, and brings some very interesting conversations on truth and lies, on trusting others. He makes you think Kaito is the opposite, believing in everyone around him and being brutally honest, besides when he lies about his sickness. This lie was done for a good reason, and I'm sure influenced his decision to kill in Chapter 5. He lied to himself throughout the game as well, which caused him to come off somewhat similarly to Kokichi. The irony of honesty, I guess. Of course, the thing is the main character being a detective. Unlike the other characters, it hits harder when a detective must lie themselves. It happens with Kyoko and happens with Shuichi many times throughout this story. He's caught in the middle between both extremes, that being Kaito and Kokichi, and is of course succumbing to both influences as Kaede was the only one in the beginning. She told him to be honest, yet lied to herself and everybody else to stay to help Shuichi become comfortable with this truth. Interesting, isn't it? Also, why do all of Shuichi's influences start with K? Kaede, Kokichi, and we don't count Korikyo, or Kurumi. There's always someone starting with the letter K every case, I swear. She is lost without Kaede, and the only people willing to come close to him are those two extremes. Maki also lies about her talent, Rentawa doesn't trust anyone, Angie lies about what she wants, sorta, and Tenko was honest about her heart. Gonta is honest to a crippling degree, yet was caught in a lie he himself didn't know of, and Miyu lied as well. Kibo was honest, and yeah, there's a lot of this crap. Even the title of the game is a lie, so Mugi could be lying or being honest, but it's sad regardless. Finally, going back to our besties Kaito and Kokichi, the fifth case is a test of trust and distrust. Lying and honesty. Where to draw the line in the epitome of Shuichi's trust character arc for me? Of course, there is a matter of confidence, but that's a commonality with every Danganronpa game. Self-discovery type stuff. With Case 5, it's as if Shuichi is to trust either honesty or lies, believe Kokichi or Kaito. It's the truest investigation I know when it comes to relevance to his character, and I love it. Shuichi begins to lie towards the end, showing Kaito that he isn't there yet, but he is. He's just using what he's learned from all his influences. It's peak character development for me, and it's just so cool. He's an emotional character, much like the tragic environment they're in. Anyway, as much as I rambled on, do you see characters in stories of this caliber relating to motifs in other games? I don't think so. Characters are so thought through in V3, whether it's dynamics between them all, their personalities by themselves, or their roles. They all relate to the motif of truth, lies, and tragedy. Godly writing. Then it slaps you in the face with the fictional stuff, but yeah. Most Danganronpa games suddenly hit you with the themes in the last chapter or two, but this one builds themes over time. So thematically, it works, but not completely. The ending twist is dumb as hell. This game works so well as a reboot that it has changed the franchise identity forever. Anyway, guess what? We get to talk about the design and visuals now, even the art style. Yay! So, to begin with, this has the most stylistic design so far. I'd argue Trigger Happy Havoc has the most practical and accessible one, though this one does come close. Danganronpa 2 has some odd design choices, like putting people's names sideways. I like how the characters have unique colours in their names to give more personality and flair, alongside the new class trial UI and minigame UIs, the pause menu, but most importantly, the distinct take on their visual novel sections of the game. Unlike most games in the genre, this one shows all characters speaking simultaneously in a comic book-esque style in the closing argument, and shows the protagonist in the corner for both Kaede and Shuichi. This helps things like Shuichi losing his hat feel more impactful, as you've seen him plenty in Chapter 1, and now even more so for the next 5. Also, the loading screens are a little different between areas. I would argue I like Trigger Happy Havocs the most, but the splitting of the screen is cool. Much like how the pixels foreshadow Danganronpa 2's ending, the splitting of the world represents the fictional nature of Danganronpa V3's. Now, some real interesting stuff I haven't seen be mentioned before. First off, the game utilizes many colder colours. Blue, purple and black are mainstays here, while in the other games, warmer colours were all the rage. Class Trials had a lot of red, yellow and grey, even the blackened is grey, which I think shows something on morality, though I can't actually put my finger on it. All I know is the use of red eyes and completely black skin makes killers out to be a lot more malicious in this game, even though people like Gonta, Kaede, and Kaito are executed. Perhaps it's from Shuichi's perspective, the eyes of the murderers looking into him the same that person did when Shuichi caught him many years prior. Maybe he's consumed by fear, hence the showy mysterious appearance of the now literal blackened. This all makes V3 the most unique. Also, can I just say how much I love the moving room of the class trial? I like when the student spots move around and adapt to situations, it's cool as heck. Also how Kaito and Kokichi are always on opposite sides, how Kaito was only opposing Shuichi in Chapter 4, except this is all on Scrum to me. There's a lot of symbolism and love put into the visuals. Now, that was all an appetizer for something I consider to be very interesting, the changing of the class trial rooms. We all know the rooms that trials take place in are always changing, helping give each case a unique feeling and very effectively adding to the atmosphere. I cannot undersell how well this works in Danganronpa 1 and 2. However, a big part of V3 is the fact they don't change till the final chapters. Well, sorta. Cases 2 to 4 all have consistent designs, but case 1 is very different. This all sounds stupid, but the room is pure black in contrast to the other 3's partially grey rooms, as if Shuichi's influence changes his perspective on more than just a black-head design. Maybe it's darker because you're the killer, seeing everything black. I will admit this doesn't change when swapping to Shuichi in the first trial, but I'm mentioning it anyway. Perhaps that awesome UI for the class trial is representing both the glass cage over the school and the reality of where they are is as fragile as glass. Interesting stuff. Anyway, cases 2 to 4 have lighter rooms. Still very black, but a bit more light is coming through the windows. Case 5 has a similar room to previous games using a lot of red. This could either tease Kaito's fiery personality and how he's still alive, or simply a callback to older games' class trial rooms, especially Danganronpa 1. It's always a classic when red is used. Class Trial 6 utilizes a more futuristic look, and I have no idea why. Maybe the themes of technology with the real people being the audience through their screens? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Also, why do the older Danganronpa sprites look so goddamn weird in this game? Probably because Danganronpa V3 is so damn unique. A lot of people say this cast is weak. I kind of disagree. I like it more than the Danganronpa 1 cast, and I think this cast fits the same as the other games do as well, possibly even better. The character design's so calm, beautiful yet gloomy, yet some of the personalities aren't. This also probably has a lot to do with the art style, but you know. This is what I like. Variety in the cast. We haven't seen this since Danganronpa 1, and I love it. When you can have Kokichi and Gonta in the same cast, you know there's some real variety. Possibly more than the first game. It doesn't serve the same role as the first, as it still feels a little more shallow, but I love it. Characters like Kirumi, Shuichi, and Korekiyo exist alongside Kaede, Kaito, and Kokichi. Crazy characters, karma characters, and Gonta, Himiko, and Kibo-like characters. Holy crap, Kibo also starts with a K, and is important to the overall plot. What? Okay. I also want to say Shuichi helps this game a lot in uniqueness. I'm giving this topic a video next, but I'll touch on it here as it's relevant. He's insecure and soft-spoken. Yes, that's similar to Makoto and Hajime. But wait, not really? They're insecure, but Hajime is pretty damn realistic in talking when he needs to, and being nervous when he needs to as well. Makoto's pretty upfront with his views on the hope and how he wants everyone to push forward, and he gets loud when he needs to. For a lot of Case 1, Shuichi doesn't talk at all, and he grows to be like the other pro tags over time, rather than instantly. I honestly think Kaede is more similar to them, just their characterization in the later parts of the game. Hajime and Makoto are leaders as well as Shuichi and Kaede, but the other two pro tags still show signs in the early trials. Shuichi can be different as he isn't the pro tag in Case 1, and even when he is, crying and being nervous over everything isn't what Makoto does when his celebrity crush dies. They're different. Kaede wouldn't be crying much either, I imagine. She's a lot more confident, yeah, but I think Kaede is closer to Hajime and Makoto than Shuichi is, just on the opposite side of the spectrum. Shuichi is more nervous than Kaede is confident pretty much. I reckon if Kaede stayed past Chapter 1, the novelty would wear off and it would feel very normal. That's a hot take, so disagree if you want. I love them both, but I prefer Shuichi. I relate to both depending on my mood, Kaede for external and Shuichi internally. His very real and tragic attitude hits a lot harder than Hajime and Makoto, since they don't really have backstories or significant trauma. Hajime does as Izuru, but not in the killing game until the plot twist. I'm talking about main game stuff, and Shuichi has his parents leaving, detective business, and the traumatic eye thing. I feel like the pro tags got a lot more backstory each game, and Shuichi spiked far more than Hajime did when compared to Makoto. He had an anime, so he doesn't get the pass in the same way as Shuichi for me. Also, he actually has a talent and is insecure about it differently to Hajime and Makoto. El Bozo. Let's get into the zest fest of a story already. I'm obviously not going to tell you. Let's get into the zest fest of a story already. I'm obviously not going to tell you it, just touching the numerous distinct quirks in its writing, you know? Okay, so the students begin the game in an already heavy foreshadowing way, literally needing a makeover and losing their memories again. The writers do a phenomenal job at making sure this opening is forgotten until it's convenient without it being cheap. The protagonist dies, ultimate question marks die. Students can leave without a trial for the first time. A rebellion against the big fuzzy murder bear happens immediately. A mastermind is hinted at immediately, and is actually true for once. There's no traitor unless you count them as the mastermind. The protagonist changes sprites permanently. You have a trio dynamic rather than a duo, which was crushed with Kaede's dead body. The possibility of two different murderers in Chapter 3 is brought up, though wasted. The outside world is shown in only Chapter 5, and possibly Chapter 1 if you're cracked enough. The love suite exists, not really story related. Junko and Ashima isn't the mastermind for once in a killing game, and they technically don't bring back any characters, nor do any of them know each other to any capacity prior to this game. Unless you count Rentaro and Samuki. Also, mystery victim and murderer. Even Monokuma doesn't know. Also, they get their memories back over time. Sorta. Fake death too. A student intentionally lies about their talents. I mean, do you count Mukuro? She was kind of a mastermind, so it feels a little different. You get my point, right? Of course, this might sound like some mumbo-jumbo without comparison to the other examples, so this will be stuff that happens in both games. Two people know each other, one attempts murder and the other lasts till the end. They lose their memories and don't get them back in game. There's only 15 real students that are participating. Heads up. Technically Sumugi exists, so there are best girls that hope the pro tag. The students actually have sounds in the chapter conclusion when they drop. No one besides the mastermind dies in Chapter 6. Like seriously, did you need to kill Koiba? The mastermind is Junko and not among the main students. Monokuma actually runs the killing game for more than 90% of it. There aren't exisals, and the games are related. In story, Danganronpa V3 shares some little quirks such as ultimate robots, fake worlds, Case 4 and 5 murder murders, and all three games share suicide to some capacity, Nekomaru in Chapter 4 and Kokichi in Chapter 5. Also, Sakura! Chapter 4 has students in a new environment that has a lot to do with the murder in Danganronpa 2 and V3, and yeah, that's just off the top of my head. A lot of similarities that V3 and other games have are most likely more mainstay, or franchise things rather than connections between the games, however. Danganronpa V3 doesn't have characters disappearing for a bit, but Danganronpa 2 does. There's plenty of stuff, and I don't want to push it. The games all have their little flair after all. My final itching section is mechanics. This will be the most surface level thing as I'm still playing Danganronpa V3, while for the other two games I've watched them and played them a year later. I've only watched V3. However, I can pick up basic stuff. Lying, scrum debates, mind mine, Hangman's Gambit V3, the changes to closing arguments, argument armament, changes to rebuttal showdowns, psych taxi, and mass panic debates. I'll cover these all now. Lying is unique to this game, also heavily referencing the themes of this game, that being truth and lies. Mind mine is stupid. Hangman's Gambit V3 is the best version of Hangman's Gambit and fits the game as you need to look for lights and darknesses if you're looking for hidden lies or hidden truths. Closing arguments are a little different and look way cooler. Arguments armaments are bullet time battles or panic talk actions, and they're pretty cool, theming around the adversary's talents more than previous iterations. The battle showdowns are now slowed down with more precise aiming mechanics, which I think suits Shuichi's style more with his detective origin than very logical personality. Scrum debates are awesome and help both flesh out the cast more, fit the constant conflicts with characters like Kokichi and Kaito, and have a fire soundtrack. Mass panic debates also fit the same thing, adding realism to the cast, touching on conflicts and showing the very leader-esque personality of Kaede, while showing the detective fast-checking personality of Shuichi. Fits with Kaede's sound-based talent and Shuichi's analytical one. Finally, Psych Taxi. It fits V3's aesthetic and Shuichi, but hell do I miss Logic Dive. The soundtrack bangs for this minigame as well though, so I cannot complain. I've only been talking on class trials though. Besides having the most class trial minigames ever, adding a boatload of in-trial ones, there's stuff outside of this. There's also Death Road of Despair. Okay, so on top of this, there's hitting stuff. Mad as hell. There's random items that can be used to unlock other random items, much prefer the other systems, and there's ultimate talent labs. There's no reason to mention these here, but I thought it was right to bring up a third thing. Gameplay is pretty lacking outside of trials, but there's still free time events, I guess. However, there are a ton of extras. I won't get into it, but it's far better than the other games. For sure, ultimate talent development plan. So once again, it says something here. You do you, bestie. Read this out nice and clear, yeah. And I read it out nice and clear. With this video, it took 2-3 days to write the script. So like, you know, I'm pretty quick at writing scripts because I'll spend like 5 hours, 6 hours writing them in a row. Like, I won't really stop. I'll just keep writing, putting my thoughts out on paper. And I didn't know about drafting. Like, I just like to really get everything in there because I feel like I've got some really unique takes and stuff. Like, I say some stuff that other people say as well, but with things like Shuichi's personality involved with the rebuttal showdowns, I haven't heard that before, you know? I just really like to put everything I think down. I like to share my thoughts with people, and I like to see what other people think. I don't see videos about some stuff like this, you know? I just want to keep making videos, man. I love making these. But obviously, I haven't edited this video yet. I don't know how well it'll turn out. I don't know if it'll blow up. I don't know if it'll get flopped. I don't know. I'm just recording it. And this is the ending. But, yeah. Also, thank you for 2 successful videos in a row. Like, compared to my other videos, these ones are so popular. Like, there's a video I have with 30k views, but it got a really bad ratio of likes, so I can't really say much on that. I'm happy though. I'm really enjoying making videos, and it's my new favourite hobby, you know? I kind of lose interest in everything else because of it. Like, the dopamine hit from just working on videos and releasing them is so good, and I really want to have some form of a community, and I feel like it's starting to happen a little bit. That makes me happy. But yeah. This is another video, and I hope you enjoyed it, because I sure did. Alright, bye!